Good evening and welcome to Arizona Illustrated for Wednesday, June 20th, 2012. Today is the summer solstice, the longest day of the year in the Northern Hemisphere, and many cultures around the world hold special gatherings or ceremonies to mark this annual event. In our neighboring state of New Mexico, the Chaco Culture National Historic Park reveals how ancient cultures maintained a connection with the seasonal patterns of the sun. And here in Tucson, you'll find a unique public art installation that is directly connected to the solar alignments found at Chaco Canyon. Luis Carrion has that story.
It can be said that Tucson has an intimate connection with the sun. It has shaped our city's development in the past and now promises to play an important role in the future. Here, along the Rillito River Park, there is a public art installation that pays homage to the sun and the relationship that it has had with cultures of the Southwest.
People come to pay attention to the passage of the seasons. People show up for sunrise on the summer solstice, the winter solstice, the equinoxes.
Chris Tanz is one of the artists responsible for this interactive art space. She says that she hopes that it will allow visitors to connect with the seasonal patterns of the sun.
We're rather detached from these patterns. We don't depend on them the way people used to. People were more exposed to them because they didn't have electric lights, and they were living outdoors, so they would see what the sun was doing every day, where it rose, where it set. And we see a few sunrises, we see a few sunsets scattered around, and we don't make the observations.
For Tanz, the inspiration for the Sun Circle came from a visit to one of our national parks. Chaco Culture National Park is located in New Mexico near the Four Corners area and has many examples of how the Chacoan people incorporated astronomical observations into their architecture.
That combination in the case of Chaco of nature and culture, because I've been in many national parks and I love them all, but that's very exceptional because it preserves nature and culture.
Chaco Canyon is considered the epicenter of an advanced culture that flourished between 850 and 1250 AD. And today, it attracts the attention of visitors and scholars from around the world.
There are two basic kinds of structures in Chaco that archaeologists have defined. One of these are the great houses, which is what everyone comes to Chaco to see, sites such as Pueblo Bonito and Chatro. There are, in addition, hundreds of much smaller structures that are called small house sites.
Gwyn Vivian is an archaeologist, and he has devoted much of his life to studying Chacoan culture. He points out that mapping the movement of the sun and incorporating the observations into the sophisticated architecture of these structures was important for the society as a whole.
Because great houses have a lot of standing architecture, that is, the walls are standing and you can see them, we have much better evidence in those buildings for using buildings to mark different phases of the movement of the sun. That may have been practiced in small house sites. We don't have the standing architecture in small house sites, so we have no way of documenting it like we can in great houses.
It's difficult not to be inspired when you visit the site. And for archaeologists, the task of interpreting the culture is a job that we all benefit from.
Originally, I think archaeologists thought that noting the prehistoric documenting of the solstices, both the summer and the winter solstices, was related to their planting cycles, that they used this as a way of telling them when they should plant in the spring. More archaeologists now feel that it may not have been related that closely to the planting cycle, but was important for carrying out a series of rituals which were scheduled throughout the year. We do much the same thing in some of our own religious rituals. We know at certain times of year certain kinds of rituals are carried out. They were using particularly the sun to develop a calendar to remind themselves of when they should be carrying out these rituals.
For visitors to Chaco Culture Historic National Park, the opportunity to see how an ancient civilization connected with the movement of the sun can inspire wonder. It also shows the important role that the national park has within our society.
It was a direct inspiration. So for a project that I did that's important to me and important to some members of the community. But I went there just as a person to visit an interesting place And I think it's extraordinary that we have places like that and that they're protected and preserved.
We continue the conversation about the summer solstice and different cultural connections to it with Matthew Whitehouse. He is a graduate student in the University of Arizona School of Music with a minor in ethnomusicology. He also studies the stars and indigenous cultures. Matthew, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
So let's begin with this interesting background about yourself. You were telling me that you like cultures, you like music, you like astronomy. How do you make it all mesh?
So how do I make it all mesh? Well, I find that sometimes I have to really think to link everything together. But what I find is that, especially with cultures, there's this whole field called cultural astronomy, which is the study of how people relate to the night sky. And then in ethnomusicology, really the study of music in culture, it seems like no one's ever linked the two together. So this question of, is there music connected with a celestial object or with people's conceptions of the night sky? It doesn't seem like anyone's really asked that question.
Okay. Now, you did send us some pictures to talk about the solstice. Let's begin with the first one in England. What do you want to say about that one?
Okay, so the first image, when we think about the summer solstice, or really both the summer and winter solstices, and people and culture, often one of the first things people think about is Stonehenge, which is a site in England near Salisbury. And it seems like there may be some alignments with some of the stones at Stonehenge with where the sun rises or sets at the summer solstice. In that image, you can't see it, but there's what's called the heel stone. And it seems like the heel stone aligns with the summer solstice sunrise. In the next picture, this is actually an image of a neo-pagan celebration on the summer solstice. There's a strong neo-pagan movement in England. And it turns out that on the summer solstice, maybe upwards of 20,000 people gather at Stonehenge to watch the sunrise.
Okay, we also have a couple of other pictures, and they deal with Australia and the Aborigines on that continent.
So we're going to other side of the world here. This is a picture of a stone circle in Victoria, which is in the southeast of Australia, near Melbourne. And it seems like this stone circle is somewhat like Stonehenge in that it could have some stones that align to points like the summer solstice sunrise or sunset, the equinox sunrise or sunset, and such. And if we look at the next image, those alignment points are marked. So there's this whole idea, and we see this around the world, of alignments of these stone circles, for example, and solstice, sunrise, and sunset points.
Okay, then the final picture brings us back here to Tucson in that previous story that we just saw earlier, right?
Right, and this image is a bit of a cheat here. I chose it because it really gives the sense that this sun circle is in Tucson, but this is actually the spring equinox sunrise. This circle, by the way, is between La Cañada and La Cholla along the Relito River, the Riverwalk. So we actually have a sun circle in Tucson.
And Matthew, why do you recommend that people take the time to study a little bit about astronomy, about native cultures, about solstices, and so on?
Well, it's fascinating, for one, obviously. And there's just this whole world of how people have related to the night sky, how even we, as modern people in our modern industrial society, have some kind of connection with the sky. And I think in a lot of ways, especially, we maybe don't feel this quite so much here in Tucson with the astronomy presence here, but this connection with the sky that older or indigenous cultures have has been lost to some extent. And I think going to sites like our sun circle here in Tucson can help us all to reconnect to the sky and to the world around us.
And you also work at Kitt Peak in astronomy outreach. You're a multi-talented person here. What do you do there?
So for Kitt Peak, I work with their public outreach programs at the visitor center. And doing this is all about connecting people to the sky. At Kitt Peak, we have a wonderful program called the Nightly Observing Program, where you can sign up and in advance and come and actually look through telescopes at the visitor center and get introduced to astronomy from a site as spectacular as Kitt Peak. Another program I work for, which is hosted now at Kitt Peak, is the University of Arizona Astronomy Camp. Stewart Observatory faculty Don McCarthy runs this program. He has for 25 years. This is the 25th anniversary of the program. This program is all about bringing in middle and high school students to experience a research environment at an observatory.
Fantastic. Well, Matthew Whitehouse, thank you very much for joining us, and good luck in your studies and everything else.
Thank you.
All right. An estimated 10,000 refugees from all over the globe now call Tucson home. And one community event that seems to grow in size and scope every year is the Tucson World Refugee Fest. The fourth annual fest is this Saturday, June 23rd, and organizers are inviting the entire community to come together through the universal languages of food, music, family fun, and soccer. Here's Mark McLemore and his guests to tell us more.
And joining me now to tell us more about the fourth annual Tucson World Refugee Fest, we have Megan Fabry, who's the volunteer coordinator for the Somali Bantu Association of Tucson, Arizona, and is also the co-chair of the Refugee Fest itself.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
Also here is Abdi Sharango, who comes to Tucson from Somalia, and he's going to be one of the soccer players in the event that's happening this Saturday.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you for joining us. So, Megan, first of all, tell us what World Refugee Day is and why it's important. How is it connected to the Refugee Fest?
Well, World Refugee Day is a holiday put on by the UNHCR, the United Nations, on June 20th, which celebrates the value and importance of the refugee community all across the globe. And refugees themselves celebrate it in camps. And it provides a sense of community and joy as they continue on in their story and their journey of life. And so here with the Tucson World Refugee Fest 2012, we are bringing that holiday to the community and bringing it to the refugees who have immigrated over here so that they have a day to celebrate it here as well.
You said that Tucson was an immigrant-friendly community, and we do host a lot of refugees here from around the world. Can you explain for us how that came to be? Why is Tucson the first point of arrival for many of these people?
For many of these people, they are selected by the UN to come over to the United States. Only 1% are actually selected. But those who do...
You mean 1% of the number of people who apply? 1%
of the world refugee population are ever resettled. And about 50% of those are resettled in the United States. And then communities are chosen throughout the United States, which are immigrant-friendly, to host the families and the refugees who can provide jobs and can provide a good sense of community for them. So Tucson has been one of the leading communities now for a number of years to host over 12,000 refugees.
Well, Abdi, tell us about your story. What led you to come to the United States?
Well, I have a lot to say, but in short, I came from Somalia. I came here because I was in search of peace. In Somalia, there is a lot of war going on. My mom was killed at the age of 6. It's when she was shot in front of me. It was so horrible. So we decided to go to Kenya, which is a nearby country or a bordering country to Somalia. It took us almost 4 days on foot to get to the Kenyan border. And then when we go to Kenya, we lived there for about 12 years, and then finally we got the chance to be resettled in the United States.
And so how old were you when you first came to the U.S.?
I was 20.
And how old are you now?
27 years old.
What has happened to you in the time that you've been here in the U.S.? Was the adjustment hard for you?
Really, the adjustment has been hard first when I first came here, but eventually then I started to adapt to the culture, and everything started to be really easy. But first when I came here, it was so strange because I had a culture shock. When I see two people kissing in the street, for example, it was like, wow, what's happening? When I see a woman in a bikini, it was like totally strange stuff. So
I can imagine there are a multitude of things that were difficult to get used to, but you're now going to school, and you told me you have at least 2 jobs, right?
Yeah. Was
it difficult for you to find work in Tucson?
At first for me, I don't think it was hard because I had learned English back home, in Kenya. So when I first came here, getting a job wasn't that hard for me. It only took me 15 days to get a job. But it wasn't the kind of job that I wanted to. So.
Yeah, well, that happens to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So, Abdi, you'll be playing soccer in a game or a tournament, sort of a championship that's going to be going on during the Refugee Fest. Tell us about the team that you represent.
My team is FC Simba. You can see it from the shirt. It's a team that I first established or founded. The players are all from Somalia, most of them, and some are from Sudan. It's a team that has won almost 8 championships. For example, we went to California, we won a championship. We went to Utah, we won a championship. And here in town, we won almost 6 championships. So I hope we're going to go all the way through.
You've established a dynasty for yourself. That's
yeah.
great. Well, let's see. At the tournament, Megan described it as speaking the international languages of sports, food, family, and fun. Do you think soccer is an international language? Is it a way for you and other people from other nations who are refugees to get together?
Absolutely, because you can tell there's World Cup. Everybody or all players around the world, they meet at a certain country and they play. So I think culture. Soccer is international language because since I came here, I had in contact with a lot of friends like Mexicans, Americans. I play against almost every nationality.
Well, Megan, tell people very quickly now what they can expect from the Refugee Fest and where it'll be happening.
It's going to be on Saturday, June 23rd from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. all day. And the main highlight is the soccer tournament, hands down. There's going to be tons of fun competition going on. And then there will also be a citizenship ceremony, which takes place. You can see a naturalization ceremony take place at 3 o'clock. And there will be music and entertainment in the afternoon and evening as well, along with a whole global village cultural exhibition.
And the location, one more time.
The location is Americana Indoor Sports Arena at 555 East 18th Street.
Okay, thanks so much, and good luck at the tournament.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
On Nova, the secrets of Saturn's rings.
These plumes go up hundreds of kilometers.
A cosmos invisible to the human eye.
We're able to see right into the cradles of newborn stars.
Where will newer, more powerful telescopes take us?
We'll have the first detections of Earth-like planets.
The story of our 400-year quest, hunting the edge of space on Nova.
Tonight at 9 on PBS HD, Arizona Public Media.
Tens of thousands of people in their teens or 20s are celebrating their recent high school and university graduations. But while the typical student is in this age bracket, there are others who are not letting their advancing years become a barrier to education. Tonight we are joined by one of them. Tucson resident Mary Bowman is a 78-year-old grandmother, and she recently earned her GED at Pima Community College. She is here to tell us about her experience. Mary, thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
So let's begin with the beginning. And so far as your high school graduation, you were supposed to be in the class of what year again?
1953.
And what happened?
I quit school in 1950 and got married.
And then what happened along the way? So you were supposed to graduate in 1953 from high school. You got married. And then tell us a bit about the ensuing years after that.
Well, I just raised a family. I had 9 children. 7 are living. But just never thought about going back to school. You know, naturally it's always in the back of your mind, but you don't ever think that it's going to happen, you know.
So as you were raising these children, were you thinking about, as they were going to school, were you thinking, wow, maybe I ought to go back to school at some point? Or were you just too busy with your personal lives, being a mom and so on?
Never really thought about it, but all 8 of my kids graduated from high school. I was proud of that. And 3 were in the National Honor Society. So that was really wonderful, too.
All right, so let's fast forward to 2010. What happens in 2010 that says to you, okay, I'm ready to go back to school now?
We got a pamphlet in the mail from Pima, and it told about all the classes that they were offering, and I saw GED, and lights went off, you know. So I put the paper on the table, picked it up, looked at it, laid it down, picked it up, and I finally started watching the date as to the last time that the last part when you could be registered. So I called Pima and got all the information I needed, and I went for orientation, and it was amazing because I there was just so much on the, it was like just to understand what you know and what you don't know. And I thought if I knew all those things, I wouldn't have to be here. But I didn't, so.
And some people might say, because of your age, why even get the degree at that point? Did that also come up in conversation for you personally?
Oh, people ask me why I did it, and I did it because I wanted to. And it's something that it's always in the back of your mind. You don't ever think about doing it, but it's there. And
how would you rate the experience? Was it easy, difficult?
It wasn't easy. Math was the hardest for me. But, I was just so thankful for the wonderful teachers I had.
Okay, now we do have some pictures from this significant event in your life here. Let's begin with the tutor. You just mentioned a teacher. You have a photograph of a teacher and the teachers at PCC?
No, this is a tutor.
Okay.
That I was in the Women's Literacy Program.
Oh, okay.
And I was lucky enough to get a lady by the name of Petra Alvarez. Oh, she was wonderful. One day we had an appointment over Christmas, and we didn't know where we were going to go, so we were going to go to a library. Well, we got to the library, and it was closed. So we had my tutoring session in the back of my car.
And then you also have a friend that was instrumental in helping you earn your GED?
Yeah, Don, my friend that I live with. Yeah, he was right there every day to support me. You know, it was just amazing.
You said, yeah, he made sure you had breakfast?
Oh, he made sure I had breakfast every morning, and yeah, every night I did my homework. I loved doing the homework. It was amazing, to think that, and your timetables come back, and just makes you feel good to think that you can do something again,
And then your family was here for the graduation as well?
No, none of my family. My one daughter-in-law was able to get here because she lives in Tucson. But the rest of my family, I have a daughter in Texas, and the rest are in Michigan. And we were having a family wedding 2 days after graduation. So that's where everybody was, preparing for the wedding.
Oh, okay. But you had a group picture that you wanted to show us. What was
That's
that about?
my family, part of my family. Yeah, so that was part of my family. Not all of them, but part of them.
Okay, great. So what do you want to say about this program that allowed you to return to school and get your GED?
Oh, it's just, I can't even, it's just not even imaginable that these teachers are there to make sure that you get everything you need, and if you need extra support, they're right there to help you. And then I gave a speech at graduation, and one of the ladies down at school, she helped me with my speech, and she really, they're just such a supporting group. We're so lucky to have them.
And you say you wanted to encourage other people as well.
Oh, yes. Anybody that are even thinking about it, just put that foot out there. Call Pima or whatever you need to do and just get there.
And so what do you hope to do next now that you have your GED?
I don't know. I'd like a job.
Okay.
But school was just so amazing that there's just not even enough you can do for all the teachers and all the support you have.
And what was a typical day like when you started school again?
Well, I got in my car and went and had my homework all done. Had done it the night before and went to school and just, you go to class and you try to discuss things that the teacher wants you to discuss and do what you have to do in class. And
do you think you may perhaps want to take some college courses now or move forward with some education?
I'm just not sure. But I just can't say enough about Pima teachers and adult education.
Okay, well, Mary Bowman, thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations on your GED at 78 years of age, right? Very
yes,
young
sir.
and vibrant still.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Now we go to this week's Political Focus with Andrea Kelly.
An effort to extend the temporary 1-cent sales tax in Arizona may be hitting a snag. Supporters of the effort want to ask voters to extend the tax in November and use the extra money to pay for education. They say such an investment would make for a more educated workforce and create jobs. Backers of the initiative say they've gathered enough signatures to get the extension of the 1-cent sales tax on the November ballot. But state election officials say a clerical error in the group's paperwork may prevent that from happening. In cases like this, the final result often takes a court intervention, with a judge making the final call. Petitions for nearly 24 other potential ballot initiatives are being circulated now. They each have to get more than 170,000 signatures from Arizona voters and clear legal challenges before they'll officially make it to the November ballot. 7 other measures are already on that ballot, referred by the legislature earlier this year. And that's this week's Political Focus.
Tucson residents are celebrating El Día de San Juan this Sunday, June 24th, which traditionally welcomes the beginning of the summer rainy season in our region. In tonight's video postcard from photographer and editor Cooper James, you'll get a taste of the sights and sounds from the festivities in 2011.
Through the intercession of St. John the Baptist, in this Día de San Juan, may Almighty God bless each and every one of you, and may He be pleased to send good rain to all of us. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
México, de bronce tu corazón, como sones jarochos cantados con emoción.
You can get more news and information on our website, azpm.org. To comment on any story you saw tonight, click on it online and go to the bottom. We can also be reached via Facebook and Twitter. Coming up tomorrow night, we'll talk about an important presidential election that's just a few days away and could have a very big impact on the United States. Mexicans go to the polls on Sunday, July 1st. Also, 100 Years, 100 Ranchers. It's a new exhibit in Tucson. I'm Tony Paniagua. From all of us at Arizona Public Media, have a great night.